Welcome to the Top Shelf Takes Championship Round 3. Today, we're talking about who are the top 6 characters, fictional or non-fictional, who would make the best team to take over the world.
Monster.
That's not true, they dive into it! Buzz! Yes, he does! I'm Tim.
I'm Ted.
I'm Ilisa.
And I'm Tommy.
This is the Top Shelf Takes Championship Episode 3. We're taking some of our most elite fighters and pitting them against one another to see who can make it to the final championship round and be declared the Top Shelf Takes champion. The champion will also be receiving the Top Shelf Takes Top Shelf World Cup. Our first 2 finalists have already been declared as Katie Muse and Katie Bell. Now, it's time to see who will do battle with the Katies in the finals. Here's how it's going to work. I'm going to be the judge. We're going to have 3 episodes, each with 3 different contestants competing. In the 4th episode, the 3 winners will meet on hallowed ground to decide who wins the Top Shelf Takes Top Shelf World Cup. Sometime down the road, they will have to defend that title. Today, I'm going to give each of you a 30-second opening pitch. Then, a 3-minute debate, at the end of which I will pick a winner for that spot on the list. Most spots on the list wins. If there is a tie, though, whoever has the highest spot takes the day. All right, without further ado, let's start with the number 6 spot for fictional or non-fictional character to be on your team to take over the world. And we're going to start with Ilisa. The time begins when you start speaking.
Okay, for number 6, I'm going in with Dr. Doofenshmirtz from the popular Disney Channel show Phineas and Ferb. I'm picking Dr. Doofenshmirtz because his number 1 goal is to take over the tri-state area, and I believe with the right guidance, we can take that focus and passion and expand it on the whole world.
We'll hold there. We'll hear more in the debate round. Ted, we're going to you. Time starts when you begin speaking.
All right. My choice for the number 6 pick is Professor Hulk from Endgame. Not only does he wear a handsome cardigan, but he revolutionizes science and he's got the strength of the Hulk. He is the perfect mend of brains and bronze to take over the world.
For my number 6, I need someone who's going to divide people, put loved ones against each other, and destroy any unity some people may have. And for that, I'm going Ryan Johnston. Ilisa, you pick someone who has already failed at that.
I have to agree. His whole shtick is that he's not very good at
He's not very good, but he has his passions in doing it, and he's going to do it regardless if he fails. Do you just stop at something just because you fail once or twice or 10 times? No, you keep on doing it because you are going to pursue your passion. And if that is taking over the world, then he will do it with me.
Like
we
a
just
lot
have
of wasted
to harvest
time.
it.
Like
And then
also
Dr. Hulk. Okay, Ted, Dr. Hulk take over the world. I thought he was a good guy, not a bad guy.
In a good way. I have chosen my list in a way of taking over and creating a good, better world.
Isn't that what they always say?
I have envisioned a utopia.
Dictator.
Well, Tommy is taking like this fascist approach.
No, we want.
Let's divide.
Artigan was terrible.
At least I'm honest about it. My whole list is villains, guys.
My whole list is.
Don't mind. I started with a villain.
I want to make a good world. And also, Ryan Johnson didn't intentionally divide people.
No, he did.
Made a movie and then butthurt Star Wars fans
No.
lost their. Also, okay, the theory of the Jedi Order, the whole point of the movie is that the Jedi Order was an antiquated and problematic thing. It was a thoughtful analysis.
Okay, he gave us
a
the
dogmatic
scope of
religion.
for 90 minutes.
You guys are fighting over this one thing when my person's just so much better than your two choices.
Dr. Doofenshmirtz is a great guy and a great friend, but I don't.
Oh, and he's a great choice for number 6.
Professor Hulk has demonstrated skill.
Takes.
And has
Once
revolutionized
again,
science, and he
Professor Hulk has
would
no
get
business
behind
taking over
him.
the world because he is so, preoccupied figuring out his own shit. Who is he? Bruce Banner?
No.
The
In
Hulk?
Endgame, he has already
Dr.
figured out his own
Hulk?
shit.
Iron Man did everything
Very
he
content
did.
with where he's at. He has molded.
Dr.
and
Bruce Banner
melded
has
Banner
the right to say
Hulk
doctor.
together.
Tommy, would you like to continue with your bad arguments?
I picked the guy who his parents didn't even show up to his births and was saying he's important enough to be in top 6 anything.
What? I think Dr. Doofenshmirtz is a nice guy. I admire his passion, but again, I feel like it would be a lot of trial and error, and it would just take a long time for him to even come close to a success.
Time.
Whereas,
Whoa, Rome was not built in a day, buddy.
actually,
We're going to hold it on Rome wasn't built in a day. I felt that this round in particular was between Professor Hulk and Rian Johnson because I felt that Dr. Doofenshmirtz got the most hits out of anyone and was beaten down quite a bit. Rian Johnson, I actually kind of liked the take on it. Like, you want someone who divides people, and there's no question that The Last Jedi is a divisive film. But then it was thrown back that it's just butthurt Star Wars fans, and I took the Star Wars fans element of that, and that is a very specific group of people. And then I thought that Professor Hulk was put down because he might not want, he's a good guy. He's not going to take over the world. But Ted then came back with the taking over the world doesn't have to be a bad thing. You can go in with good intentions. So for that reason, I'm going to give the number 6 round to Professor Hulk. For number 5 spot, we're going to start with Mr. Tommy Brennan. Time starts when you begin speaking.
When taking over, you need some young muscle to go and do the grunt work while you build the foundation. So to knock everything over for me, I'm going with 1, Anakin Skywalker.
well, it's interesting that you mentioned Anakin Skywalker because I have chosen Rey. Rey is someone, again, who wants to make a path forward. And she is a firm believer in building community, perhaps going against the grain, but also ultimately fighting for the common good. She is determined. She is a strong-willed fighter, and she has a lot of power.
Time.
Alrighty, coming in for number 5, I have one Plankton from SpongeBob SquarePants. He does focus most of his time trying to steal the Krabby Patty formula, but as we have already learned in the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, he can conquer any world.
You picked a dude who can't even see as a patty. And he's not taking over anything. And that lasted 2 days when he did take over.
Yeah, again, Plankton has proven to be ineffectual at his attempts at takeover. He's been squandered by the Krabby Patty crew, SpongeBob, Patrick, Mr. Krabs, Sandy Cheeks, and
The other Plankton.
One question for you folks: is SpongeBob SquarePants over? No. That means that he is going to keep on going as long as that sponge is kicking. All right. And we already know that this guy has plan after plan after plan after plan. Sometimes when we make plans, they don't work out, and you have to come up with something completely new on the spot. if anything, Plankton is great at working on the impulse, on that, you know.
I would argue that that's one of his weaknesses, and that he is often mocked and derided for his impulsivity. Even his computer wife Karen doesn't seem to have a whole lot of admiration or confidence in his ability, and I think a lot of that has to do with he makes a lot of decisions based on emotion and based on whims, and therein lies the flaws of his planning. And now Tommy, I have to agree, the same thread. Anakin is someone who so easily fell apart and could not, he had a path and he fell off it so easily because his emotions led him astray. Whereas Rey struggled with her emotions for sure and had to work through them, but she stayed on her path and she didn't fall apart. And she managed to actually defeat Palpatine by harnessing the power of all the Jedi, including one Kit Fisto. And
that's a point against you.
I would actually firmly disagree, but she stayed on her path. She didn't like radically fuck up like either Plankton or Anakin Skywalker did. She took the struggles, she took the temptations, and she used it to the best of her abilities to move forward and fight for good and ultimately defeat evil.
Ted, what was Anakin's purpose? To bring balance. You know what's balance? There's 2 Jedi's when he's done. There's 2 Sith.
Create balance, if anything.
Time.
Through Discord.
Even.
My problem is I just really didn't hear anything against Rey, and I felt I heard something against the other 2. I understand that in the case of Ilisa, you didn't see the movie, but you know, try and get creative if you're not familiar with the source. See what you can do there. I think the answer for number 5 has to be Rey.
Rey who?
Rey nobody, because
Rey
there's power in
nobody.
just being who you are.
All right, coming in for number 4, I have to go with Dr. Evil from the Austin Powers franchise. I'm going with Dr. Evil because he is always trying to take over the world, and he'll use his big guns, his big rays, and his sharks with the laser beams to do whatever he needs to. People listen to him, and even though he might be all evil at the end of Goldmember, we see him come around and fight.
Time.
My number 4 pick is someone who in real life has overcome deep struggles and has built a media empire. I'm talking about Oprah Winfrey. She is a hero. She is a legend. She is someone who examines current issues with honesty and accountability and transparency, and she is powerful.
My number 4 will always be on my left side. Someone for when he has to deal with just stupidity that will give him a headache, he's going to deal with it. And I'm going to go with Psyduck. Before I begin, I will not say anything bad about Oprah.
Yeah, before I begin, I cannot say anything bad about Oprah either.
She was almost on my list.
Do you both just yield the spot then, or do you want to try and fight it?
I mean, I can't really fight against Oprah. She's pretty great. But like, I would, even when I try to think like, oh, would Oprah even help Ted, you know, conquer the world? But like, I feel like if Ted asked like nice enough, she would.
And if not, at least to have fun.
Yeah.
All right. Ted takes the number 4 round with Oprah.
When planning full-on domination, you need someone who's not going to be there all the time. But when you know they will be there, even if they're so sick of you, they will have your back. My number 3 is Poison Ivy.
My choice is a pinnacle of power as a character, but also real world impact and power and inspiration for generations upon generations of people. I'm talking about T'Challa or Black Panther. He is the epitome of a leader. He is the epitome of someone who wants to build a better world and who will listen to other perspectives in order to build that world.
So coming in for number 3, really weird connection with Tommy. I am also going to have to pick Poison Ivy from the Harley Quinn series specifically as my number 3rd. She is a former scientist, and while she is seen as a villain, all she wants to do is save the planet. So I just have to stop you right there, Ted. And for T'Challa, Mr. Black Panther himself, I don't think he's concerned with, taking over the planet, rather.
Or even help.
And he will help save the planet, but I don't think he's concerned with ruling over anything other than Wakanda, and that is so apparent in their films and also in their society, how it's so closed off from everything.
Well,
They'll listen to other people. You're right about that.
At the end of Black Panther is that they open up Wakanda to the rest of society and share their resources. And though, again, I'm not talking about take over the world in the evil villainous sense, but I'm taking over in terms of building a better world. And I think Black Panther, T'Challa, Wakanda in general would be instrumental in sharing resources that could be put to good use to take over and right the wrongs of the world and build something better. And I think that is something that he would gladly be a part of. Now, Poison Ivy, I think, seems like a great person, seems like a good friend. But Tommy, you said she wouldn't be around a lot? I feel like, did you say that?
Yeah, you don't need her around.
I think that is actually like a quality of someone who would not be a good team member. Because I would want someone who is...
I beg to differ. I think the reason why she's not around is that she doesn't need to be micromanaged. She has a clear vision and she can follow through with a plan. She'll be there regardless, working and, fighting for this new world. She has a lot of loyalty and a lot of brains, so she doesn't really need to be told what to do, which is great.
All right. Ted, you fought valiantly. You fought the good fight. But this needs to go to both Ilisa and Tommy for Poison Ivy for the number 3 spot.
Coming in for number 2, I'm going to have to go with Willow from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. She is loyal, she is fun, she is cute, she's quirky, and she is literally one of the most powerful beings in that universe. She literally is handpicked by the forces of darkness to be bestowed upon unimaginable powers.
Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, not AOC, but her full name, because she demands respect. She is the voice of a generation. She is an advocate for all people, for the working class, for healthcare, to build a climate sustainable world so the world doesn't fall apart. If she were on my team to take over the world and build a better one, she would be a tireless fighter to ensure positive change.
Sometimes you just need a motherfucker to keep people in line. And if you have my number 2 underneath you, you probably have the most powerful person in the galaxy on your side. And if you raise them right, under your thumb. So my number 2 is Homelander. Ted, most of the points I made of Ryan Johnson could have worked for your argument too.
Yeah, but I think your points, Johnson, Ryan Johnson is not a politician. I don't think he wanted to take on a position of mobilizing troops. Also, he just made a movie and people got mad about it. Whereas Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is very intentionally trying to mobilize an army of young people to be politically active and politically conscious and advocate for justice. And she has done so successfully. We're seeing a massive rise of young people being engaged in politics. And I think she has a lot to do with that. We have a lot of young people advocating for social justice. And I think
we do have a lot of young people advocating for social justice, but I just got to stop both of you here. With Congressman Cortez and Homelander compared to Willow, I just see that there is no match. I mean, if the world is what I request, Willow will be able to give me that. She is a witch with unbelievable power. She doesn't have to change every single minds and go into the youths and, start slow and, grow a tree from a seed. She can just make things happen. Okay, she is very effective and powerful, and you don't want to mess with her. So any opposing forces there are probably not going to do well, just like Congresswoman Cortez and Homelander.
Well, let me say something about Homelander, because I feel like your argument hinges on a big if, because you say if you raise him right and if you have him under your thumb, but he's so powerful and also correct me if I'm wrong, I haven't seen the show, but so evil and caught up in his own power that it's very probable that he would just go off and do whatever he wants and say, screw your idea of what this team wants to do with the world, and he would just go do his own thing. And so I feel or he would even combat you because he just doesn't want to be pinned down like you say you would. I just feel like that big if is a really big if and could be devastating to your team. And then as far as Willow goes, sure, she has the ability to create whatever
anything. She's a witch. Whatever she wants done, it is so, with the snap of her finger. And
Sorry to cut you off, Ilisa. This one is actually really clear for me. Again, I'm going based off the arguments. There are no biases here. This one felt cut and dry that round 2 would go to Willow from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. The argument that Willow could technically do anything that Congresswoman Cortez does stuck with me. It did. And if we're playing with anything goes, then why couldn't she do any of that? And so
my only counterpoint was that I was going to be like, well, she was written by Joss Whedon, so
that would have hurt, but also
why did you pull that punch? My number 1 has already taken over. He's got 1,000 shapes. He is in everyone's home. He's gone 100 years of it. And there's few things he's not taking. My number 1 is Mickey Mouse.
General Leia Organa, a pioneer of the resistance, the rebellion, who has shepherded a generation of new fighters for justice and equity in the galaxy, and has led the charge against defeating the Empire. She has been through it.
Believe it or not, I went for another redheaded witch. Some of you might know her as the Scarlet Witch, but I'd like to just call her Wanda. Coming in for my number 1, I believe Wanda would be able to help me you know, get control of the world, but she would then be able to make it look how I wanted it to.
Time.
Be able to shape it.
Time. All right, guys, the 3-minute debate for the number 1 spot begins now.
All right, for one
All right,
thing,
so-
Mouse hasn't taken over anything. He is just a mascot. He is just a mascot for the Disney corporation. He is not actually taken over anything. He is just an animated mouse who is popular, sure, but does not have any leadership qualities. Wanda is very powerful, yes, but she's also very early in her development of her powers. She is not in full control yet of her powers, and I think she's probably not interested in taking over the world, considering that her arc on WandaVision was realizing that taking over town was bad, actually, and that she doesn't want to do that. She could do that, but I don't think she would. I don't think that's something that she'd want to do, especially with the way that WandaVision ended. She is powerful, yes, but she's figuring things out on her own. I think she just wants to do things on her own terms. Leia is, again, a force for change, a force for good, someone who has kept fighting despite loss, despite losing her son to the Empire. She has still kept working to defeat the Empire and rescue her son. She hasn't even given up on her son. And she hasn't even let her hatred of the Empire, the thing that corrupted her son in the first place, overcome her love for her son. And at the end of the day, she's the one who turned him back and, again, was instrumental in ending the reign of the Empire, and long live the reign of the Resistance and the good guys winning the day. So I think Leia is in the most prime position to actually be effectual in taking over the world and actually, building something good out of it, but most importantly, actually being the catalyst for that takeover.
But
You
then
wonder why we think Leia now?
literally taking over the world, Wanda has that ability, which we already know. And
Right,
she
but it
can
took
bend
something out of
people
her.
to her will.
And again,
And I know that she's really in it, but I think she
Also,
just
she had lost
continuing
control
to learn
over it.
more
Like,
things
she
about
didn't have
herself.
control over it because Agatha Harkness was there screwing with her the whole time.
Well, to help give Ilisa an assist, when Wanda decided she was done with Agatha, she was done with Agatha.
Yeah.
It took 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again,
Agatha was never.
as she realized that, she also realized that her takeover of the town was bad, and it would have, and it again.
Just because it's bad that one time doesn't mean that she's going to learn more about herself and her power, that she will be able to have that in hindsight and change the way that she uses her powers.
Time. The number 1 spot for the team building that would take over the world with fictional or non-fictional characters is General Leia Organa, which means that Ted is moving on to the championship. Mr. Ted Silva, congratulations, sir. Well fought, everyone. Ted, we'll be seeing you in the finals. You'll be going against Katie Bell and Katie Muse. Could not be more excited. Ilisa, Tommy, thank you for playing today. I thought this was a wonderful Top Shelf Takes Championship Round 3. You all came to play, and I appreciate it. So, if you liked what you saw here and you want to see more, click that subscribe button, smash that like button, and get more content just like this. Next time we see you, we're going to be in the Top Shelf Takes Championship, and we're going to find out who's going to be taking home that Top Shelf Takes Top Shelf World Cup. If you liked our list or if you disagreed with our list, let us know in the comments below. We want to hear what you have to say. Thanks for watching. This has been Top Shelf Takes.